Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Bianca. I'm a Galactic channel and I channel my Galactic guides, and they come through as the Lyrans, Actarian, the Actarians from the Galactic Federation of Light. It really depends. I have a whole host of amazing Galactic guides. And in this episode, what I'm going to be doing is what I call decoding the guidance that came through from a recent channeled session, which I'll link below if you want to see that live session. And in this particular episode, which is for October's guidance, I bring through the Actarian Council of Light, and they share a number of different pieces of guidance on how we can choose to access higher timelines. It was a beautiful session. It was actually a bit shorter than maybe I was expecting, but I think the guidance was super clear and super grounded, and they even reference the fact that I've been asking if they can try and share it in a way that's really understandable for us, because sometimes the guidance can come through a bit broad and lofty, and sometimes when we're here in this human experience, it's not the easiest to interpret that. So I think it was a really grounded version, or a really grounded piece of channeled guidance that was shared this time. So if you want to check that out, the link is below. And just for the purpose of this, I'm just going to be taking what I think are the sort of 5 to 8 most important or interesting quotes from the guidance directly. And I'm going to read those quotes word for word because I think it's important to share it as it was shared by my guides. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of flavour to that, how I'm interpreting it. I'd love to know if you've got some different interpretations or experiences or anything that resonates in terms of what I'm saying here and sharing. Just drop that in the comment. I'd absolutely love to see that in the comment section. So here we go then. So the key pieces of guidance that came through. Now, this session was very much focused on how we choose the higher timelines and actually moving to a higher experience or elevating our experience beyond, say, the third dimension into fourth, fifth, and beyond is actually a choice by us, which is interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes it can feel maybe that's not the case. But what I think they were really trying to say is that we have total decision making in this. Nobody's going to come along and force us up to a higher timeline. It's got to come from us. And my guides have always shared that the evolution comes from within the self. It is not something that's outside of you that you're choosing to attain. It's actually something that comes from within you that allows you to elevate up to higher experiences. So the first quote I want to speak to is this: you are the creator of your own experience. You are the one choosing the timeline. So that's just, confirming what I was just saying. We're the ones that choose. And so we might be wondering, like, how do we choose the timeline? I guess this is about being open to, and from initially witnessing and observing what's going on in an external reality. And my guides have said to me before, a really good thing to remember is that we can't necessarily control what's outside, what's happening on the outside, but we can choose our response to that. And I think that's a really powerful way of looking at it. It might mean that some chaotic things are going on outside of us. Some things are happening on collective levels that's not within our control, but what we are in control of is our reaction. We are in control of our own reality and how we respond to the external environment. So that was the first thing I wanted to speak about. And then they said, the number one barrier that we see on a human level is the experience of fear. Because when fear is present, it can encourage you perhaps to step back towards what is more known and what is more understood. So I found that really a powerful way of looking at it, and a powerful way of explaining how sometimes fear is the number one thing to hold us back. We fear the unknown. We fear what we can't see. We fear ways of being that perhaps we've never seen before. But until we embrace that uncertainty, unless we can accept a level of discomfort and not knowing what's on the other side, we can't really elevate, because none of us in this current experience have been to where we're going. We're going to a completely new world. We need to embrace the change, and where we're all seeing it in the external environment. Things are moving, things are falling away. There's a little bit of shifting. Well, not a little bit. There's quite a bit of shifting around. And in order for those new constructs, those new structures, new ways of being to form here, we're going to need to accept some things to fall away. And those things that maybe were familiar to us, not to be so not to be present, and some new stuff to come in, new exciting ways of being, new ways of innovating. For example, I think, speaking to my own personal experiences, so I've got a marketing business, and I started that business when I had my second baby. I started it just before I fell pregnant. Now, that felt like uncertainty to the max. Now, this is probably not the craziest example, but it is an example that I think helps to say, well, what does that look like? In that moment, I was looking at my experience saying, okay, well, this is scary, right? I've never been pregnant and owned a business. I'd actually never even owned a business at this point. And I didn't know what it was going to look like the other side of that. I didn't know how I was going to feel about being a mum or running a business. I didn't know how I was going to actually make that happen for me. But I had to completely trust. And this is the number one thing I speak about in business groups where I'm speaking about this, is trusting and taking the action based on where you're going, not where you are. And that's the thing. If we are taking decisions through fear, now I could have, in that example, been like, okay, this is scary. I don't know what's going to happen with the business. I'm just going to stop until I get to the other side of the pregnancy and have had a baby. And that might be the right route for somebody else. But for me, that wasn't the right route, because I knew that if by doing that, I would just contract. That would be me going backwards. That would be going back towards what is safe, what is known. Would have been a known and easier scenario for my nervous system, perhaps. But being able to understand where I was heading and take decisions from there, I think there's this belief system sometimes in the spiritual community that we need our nervous system to be absolutely serene for us to move forwards, and that's absolutely untrue. Because if you wait to never feel any fear, if you wait till you feel more comfortable, you probably won't do anything, because you're never going to feel comfortable. Change is a little bit uncomfortable. So it's accepting that discomfort, witnessing it, observing it. And I think at some point during the guidance, they actually say, stare it in the face. And I love that. You stare it in the face, because you say, okay, I understand this feels scary. I understand I don't know where this is going, but it's like taking a step by step, taking steps one step at a time. Because actually, what if you just believed in the best case scenario rather than the worst one? We're always taught in our experience, we're taught quite often through our lives. And I've definitely heard it throughout childhood and growing up, and even as an adult, well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, when you think about that too hard, then you're probably gonna worry yourself about the future. So what's the best that can happen? And anchoring into the possibility, and I think they speak to that, anchoring into the possibility versus being in the contraction, the fear, worrying about the outcomes. Now, sometimes things do go wrong. Not everything is perfect, but we learn from them. We learn from those mistakes. We see the redirection from that. The worst thing we can do is stay where we are, because we stay stuck. That's how we don't move forwards. So really embracing change is massive. And yeah, they speak about that, speak about accepting that there is going to be a level of fear, but actually not letting fear hold you back. So the third piece that I've written down here is the opportunities for higher dimensional experiences are prevalent and present in your reality. However, it is for you to decide to move up, move forwards, and move into new experiences. So again, this is about being prepared to step into those new frequencies, those higher timelines, being willing to challenge yourself to go beyond. And where we are experiencing some turbulence and some ups and downs, though, seeing those as opportunities to change something in your experience. And what about if the thing that has changed or moved on, or something in your experience that you're experiencing right now is showing you something different? It's a learning. It's telling you this is information about what you don't want to be doing, or how you don't want to operate. And I'll speak to another example. I used to be in the corporate world, and I still am in my marketing business, ironically. And it's an interesting bridge between these two worlds that I'm in, where I speak to my galactic experiences and I still run a corporate business, but my way. And I often wonder what my life would have been like if I hadn't have started in the corporate world. And actually, I'm really very aware that that was a path I needed to go on, and I needed to have maybe some difficult experiences there to see what is wrong, or you're not necessarily wrong because I don't want to say that, but you know, see the darker side of the corporate environment so that I could understand what a lighter environment might look like. So when you can witness that darkness and you're not scared of it, you just witness it and you see it for what it is, it can give you that power, that energy, that fire to the thing that you're really here to do. So sometimes you might experience something that maybe doesn't feel like the most easeful experience on the nervous system, or maybe you think, why on earth has that happened? But when you can give that a little bit of time and you can sit with it and, ask for the guidance, you can see where it was taking you. I can definitely see, for example, where my challenging experiences in my marketing, in my corporate world, has helped me to create a marketing business that looks like nothing that I could have created if I hadn't had those experiences, and I've built something so far, and I can talk about that in another episode, maybe. But I built something so far that is a new, innovative way of working. And that is working for me, but it's working for me based on what I know I didn't want to create because of the experiences I had before. So, a slight segue, I think, on that one I've gone on. But I think the fact is we're choosing the experience, we're learning from our experiences, we're seeing everything as a possibility and as a potential to move, and the universe is going to present you with those opportunities to step up, elevate, move towards the things that are in your heart's desire. And I say heart's desire because that's important, because it should be coming from heart, coming from the self. And the world we're moving into, if you are creating based on what you think, not what you believe truly in your heart, it's going to get harder and harder to be in that place. So as you start to elevate, what I'm experiencing as well, my own experience, as we go up a level, we start experiencing higher frequencies. It becomes very clear when we start to try to push or make something happen, or if something's not in alignment for us, it is unlikely to move into our experience. It starts to be we start to live and operate in a way that is more in flow, in tune, and working as co-creator with the field, co-creator with the universe, rather than this kind of previous way of being, which is third dimensional, which is, very much trying to control our environment. Letting go of that control, embracing the uncertainty, and flowing and trusting that the universe is going to provide for you. It's easily said, and I fully understand this can be really challenging, and we are learning to operate at these higher dimensions. We are learning to flow with life. We are learning to operate in this way. It is a journey for each one of us, but I love to speak about the fact that it's actually a remembrance of something that we know very well how to do. It's actually just reconditioning or unconditioning ourselves so that we can come back to who we really are, come back to the experiences that we actually understand inherently in our soul, but our human just needs to catch up with. So it's just flowing with life and being more accepting and open to uncertainty. But the beautiful thing about not knowing which way to go is that it can be more exciting, more beautiful, more expansive than maybe your mind can actually comprehend. So openness is key. So then number 4, they were saying, ask yourself where you're taking decisions based on past experiences. Where are you taking decisions based on fear? And where are you taking decisions based on what is known? It's so similar to what I've just said, so I won't go back over that. But those are really good questions to ask yourself if you're at a choice point, if you're questioning things. For example, I'll go back to the example of when I had my second child and I had just started my business. And I used to sit with, but where do I want to be? And so where I want to be, what do I need now? And now my experience at the time, when I was looking around me in my current experience, I didn't necessarily have all the things in place to create that, but it was the decisions that I was making, and I can look back on that and see that now. It was the decisions I was making based on where I knew I would go that allowed the universe to keep presenting those opportunities, and it flowed into something I don't think my human mind could have comprehended actually at the beginning. So Yeah, it's like that. Those are really great practical questions. Am I taking this decision based on who I am becoming? Or am I taking this decision based on a past version of me? Or am I taking this decision based on fear? Like, those are beautiful questions to ask. So, number 5, they say make decisions from an elevated place and your experience will become more elevated. It's just further confirmation of that, isn't it? Because if we can hold ourselves in an elevated place, then we can be more elevated. And I think, just to give a practical example about that, there might be times where something happens and, it's going to happen. Things are going to happen. Things are going to go in a direction that maybe we didn't expect, because success, and the way we live is not linear. We can't control every single outcome, but we can, we can control our experience and our, not our experience, but our reaction, our behavior, our own behavior, right? So knowing that, and knowing that when we take decisions from an elevated place, we start to experience an elevated experience, then when something does happen and it maybe you feel your nervous system moving out of balance, it can be a really good idea to take a step back, to breathe, to do something that gets you back into the flow. So, for example, walking or dancing or whatever it is that is for you. For me, definitely it's dancing or walking. But it doesn't even need to be as big as that, right? It might just be doing some deep breathing and going and making a cup of tea and coming back, thinking about how do I bring myself back to a calm nervous system? How do I come back to myself? How do I tune into what my heart is saying, what my heart is telling me? And when I'm back in that place, I'm making that decision, not making the decision necessarily in the moment, unless, sometimes it's not possible to wait. But if it is, try to wait till you feel grounded. Come back to yourself, come back to your soul, ask your higher self, come from this place and make decisions from there, not necessarily from logic. It might make no logical sense, the decision that your heart is telling you, but this is the time, as you elevate into higher frequencies, to trust that. So making decisions from an elevated place, your experience will become more elevated. I love that. I think that's such a simple way of putting it. So number 6, they say there is no requirement for you to move to higher dimensional experiences. There's no requirement as you move to higher dimensional experiences to make something happen. This is merely a third dimensional construct. This is about working with the field. This is understanding the quantum field and how it works. This is about understanding how to flow and create with the universe as co-creator. What is really important is to have a really clear vision, to be able to feel the feelings you want to feel in your future and operate from that place. But it's not necessarily, it's not required to know every single step. It's not required. I talk about this in business, and I think I'll come back to an example on that again. This idea of a 5-year business plan for me is wild. Like, who on earth can write a 5-year business plan, especially in the current context of what we're experiencing in the external world? So, do we need a 5-year, 5-step, plan? No. Do we need to know the direction? Do we need to have like kind of some direction and the north node? Yes. Know where you're going and be open to that moving and flexing, but you don't need to know the concrete detail. What I think is really powerful, and what I also witness as I mentor others, is sometimes there's a feeling of needing to have everything worked out, and because of that, then nothing happens because it feels too much. Well, how about you take the first step and let the universe move towards you? So take a step and then follow the guidance. Ask for your experience to, or ask the universe to show you something in your current experience that can show you the step after that. So go one by one. Don't necessarily need to take massive leaps. Some people believe and for some people this has worked. Just quit your job and do the thing that you want to do tomorrow. Could do. Brilliant. If that your nervous system can cope with that. But if that's not you, if that doesn't feel right in your body, then take some steps. So maybe it's not the big jump off, but it's something, if you want to start something part-time, or if your passion is to spend more time with your kids and you really want to do that, then start taking some steps towards that. Take the steps that you can make that's going to feel like a direction, and watch the universe move towards you when you take the step. But until you take the step, you can't experience those things. The universe doesn't respond because you haven't made that choice to step into that new version. You haven't until that point made the choice and shown the universe you're serious. So taking the steps, but also working with the field, work with the universe. If you've got a real desire on something, and I can speak to this because I used to be the world's biggest push person, and I feel like the universe has literally given me so many lessons in the last 12 months, and maybe before that even, on releasing the need to push and make things happen. Because the more you push and the more you try to make something happen, the more the resistance comes. And that's almost similar to what we were saying there about having all the 5 steps. If you only think the way to get where you want to go, so say you're trying to go to A to Z, the only way is to go through all of the letters of the alphabet. The problem is you're only going to be looking at those things, but the universe might be sending you other things, different directions, different ways that maybe are not conventional or logical, or you might feel just this pull to go to a space or join a group or be in an area or pick up that phone call. And it may not make sense how that comes together, but just trusting that it will. And in whatever timeline is meant to come in. Now, I don't believe that I don't believe that divine timing is just created by the divine. I believe you create that with the divine. It's co-creation. When you're ready and the opportunity comes into your experience, bang, that's divine timing. Sometimes we can either wait too much and then nothing sort of happens because we're not taking any action at all. So the universe can't deliver it. Or in my situation, which I've experienced in my life, is I'm operating such a speed that I'm not allowing those synchronicities to fall into place around me. So sometimes when we move too quick and we're trying to make things happen from a push standpoint, we're actually not allowing the universe to come with the thing that we were looking for. So it's that dance of you take one step, allow the universe to deliver. Take another step, the universe will deliver. The universe can show you what is the next steps. You just have to ask for the directions and it starts to move into your field. So just remembering to flow, and your nervous system and being as much as possible in that flow state is going to help you to create faster as you elevate versus the old paradigm of trying to make something happen. So the next one is there is no requirement. Oh no, we've done that one. Sorry. So the next one is flow with what comes through your experience now and in the future. And this is how you access higher timelines. You access them through decision making, which is heart based, which is soul based, which is not fear based. So this is going back again. I think we've spoken about this already, but the decision making is got to come from the heart. The future of higher dimensional living is operating from the heart and the mind working together in unison. So it's not that you're no longer using your mind. It's not that the mind is not relevant, but we're not trapped in the mind. We're working with the mind and the heart. We're being shown the direction through the heart, and we're working with it's important, isn't it? The masculine and the feminine. Here we're working with the universe. We're co-creating. It's that beautiful dance. It's the yin and the yang. It's the flow that we are here to operate from. This is our sovereign, our birthright, if you like, to operate from this place. And we've been taught that we need to cling, clutch, strive, push, fight, letting go of that now, and to respond from a state of flow. And to be in the flow state, we need to be able to hear what our heart is telling us. So that was another, I think, a beautiful way of putting it. My final one that I really wanted to pull out of the guidance that came through was something that they said at the end. They said, more of you will understand your galactic nature in the future. And we are here to welcome you with open arms. Joining forces in the galactic heritage which you have always had access to and is now becoming clear. And I particularly love this because when I set out on this journey of sharing my galactic gifts, and it's still pretty early in its journey, I started to understand what was coming through me. I started to have these experiences where I was channeling. I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do with that. And my guides were really clear with me. They spoke to the fact that it's important for me to speak now because we are all going to start to understand our galactic heritage and our experiences. And all this is that I'm experiencing and I've been experiencing is a remembrance. And I'm sure that if you're listening to this, either you are open to or experiencing similar things. And if you are, firstly, I'd love to hear from you, because I love hearing from others who are having these experiences, these awakenings, or maybe connected with the galactic guides for the first time. Like, it's the most beautiful thing. And I think we just all need total openness to what might come in the future. Now, I don't know, I absolutely do not know at this point how that is going to play out. But what I do know is that we are going to understand more about our wisdom beyond this lifetime. We're going to understand more about our galactic experiences that we've had, not just here on this planet, but on other planets. And we are going to start to have access to incredible wisdom and work with these incredible high dimensional beings in a way that we don't experience currently yet. For me, that feels really exciting. For me, that feels really exciting to think that there are, to know that there are other beings, other civilizations out there living in a way that is more in harmony with each other, more in harmony with the planets that they live on, and that we can be and are moving towards a society which is operating from the same place. So I think that really gives me hope, and that helps me to feel, sometimes, and if anyone's a starseed or has galactic connections, you can have this moment where it feels really dense being here and it feels hard and tough, and you think, God, why did I sign up for this? But when you know that firstly you've experienced different experiences and you are remembering how to create from those places, that we're here to transform this experience in this moment into a world, a planet, a individual and collective experience that can be really, really beautiful for everyone. So it's about remembering that, remembering we might be one piece of a puzzle, but we are one piece of a whole network of incredible individuals who are here to do and light up their light. And as we light up our lights, this lights the light for the collective, and we can start to move to higher experiences, higher dimensional experiences here on Earth. We're creating it, and your single role in that is extremely powerful. So don't forget, you know, and so I love that. And I'm really excited for the future and how that comes together. And I loved how they spoke about that. And I'd love to know, if you watched the video, your perspective on that as they shared it. So I hope this video has been useful. I hope you've taken something from it. It is my hope that by sharing my own experiences and kind of peppering that around the guidance that comes through, that it can help you with your experiences, with your journey. And if you are opening up to your galactic experiences, your history, your connections, then definitely drop in the comments. I'd love to know. And that's what this is all for. This is all just so that I can just share these experiences with as many people as possible. So thank you so much for being here. If you love this video and if you love the videos that I've been creating, please subscribe, because it helps me to reach more people. And I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to comment if you love this video. Thank you so much. And I will be back soon with another galactic guidance video too.